It's interesting. Intel came up as a story in the research in that they've been having a bit of trouble. Really, it's like they hit a wall or something in terms of their progression. There've been delays on their chips in the last couple of years. That's actually held up vendors like Apple, who are relying on their chipsets to sort of push their models further and further ahead. AMD is doing really well as an alternative, and it'll be interesting to see where they go and whether or not they're being held back because of the technological aspect, or whether it's just something internally in their business that's not working terribly well in terms of adapting to the new environment.
It's an interesting question, that. So I think all the chip manufacturers are at the physical limits of how small you can make your circuits. And I think that comes down to 9 nanometers or 7 nanometers, something like that. And so basically what happens at that point is you get electrons leaking between the circuits. And the way that they fix that is to actually put software on the chip that corrects these errors, because they can detect them, apparently. But if AMD's doing really well, I don't know why Intel isn't. So maybe it's a business thing.
Well, and arguably Apple's doing that pretty well as well with the chipsets that they're designing in-house for their iPhones and iPads, because they're pushing ahead as well. So,
and there's special chips. I only found this out through looking at the Chromebook, is that you need a different type of chip really for a mobile handset or tablet. Or for a Chromebook compared to what you need for a normal PC. And of course, Intel's really in the PC market. And so I guess that's maybe where they're struggling. They're on the limits. They can't really bring out anything newer or faster, or with more cores now. I mean, now they've got 4 cores at maximum speed, burst speeds, with more, on-board memory. So, but I think we've seen now that the PC era has really hit the wall.
Absolutely. All right, we'll switch track now to 5G. I guess it's been becoming more knowledgeable. I guess mainstream but it's still not something that's out there. There might be pockets of it here and there as it's slowly rolled out, and a lot of the phones now are starting to incorporate antennas that can theoretically do 5G, but it still seems like it's a little way off, because just going from 4G to 5G is not the same as going from 3G to 4G. But if they do manage to pull it off eventually, collectively, get the system up and running, it could potentially transform what connectivity means.
I completely agree, and I think what we'll see, if you want to look ahead, maybe to 6G, but it could well happen on the 5G spectrum, is I think that merger of phone and personal device will occur, and you'll get 2 SIM cards, one on the same plan, because also I think data's changing. Once you go to 5G, the ability to transfer data, you can't put the same cost on data that you did back in the days of 3G. It just doesn't work. There's so much data moving around now so quickly. I think that you'll need to have your laptop connected. You'll need to be able to sync up all your devices, and I think the price of data will collapse, but it'll be supported by the price of access. So instead of a $30 a month just for your phone, who knows, maybe you pay $40 and that'll just have everything you've got wired.
Yeah, exactly. And just finally, two last ones finally, security is obviously still a thing that we need to worry about, but there could be, I guess, the more ubiquitous and more deep the internet gets sort of connected into our lives and infiltrates our lives, the more chance that there's going to be some clever person or people or groups out there that can exploit that to their advantage. And I think almost education in securing your technology is just about as important as anything else at this point.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I'd give everyone one tip. It's not foolproof by any means, but if you want to be more secure with your technology, do not use any social media on personal devices, especially like phones.
We'll see how much people will be able to withstand that.
No one's going to listen to me. I'm not expecting them to, but I think that is, I mean, we've spoken about this for many years, that the time will come. We've already seen the presidential elections in 2016 affected by, the fake news and the targeting of specific groups. I think the next step of this will be the fact that it'll come through the fact that if you have a social media identity that connects you, you'll be linked right through the system. And who knows what new, crazy, wicked, like villains there are out there who are going to come up with some great new way to exploit the system.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess finally, can't talk about this topic without mentioning AI. We've kind of mentioned that in previous podcasts as well. That's just going to continue to be worked on as a thing. That's not going to go away anytime soon. It'll just be a question of the types of uses that it will have going forward and how quickly it develops. So it's not just that abstract sci-fi apocalyptic type of scenario where Skynet rises and blasts us into oblivion. There could be all sorts of other scenarios that come out of this.
Oh, absolutely. I think, once again, this comes back to the fact now that there's so much data on each of us out there, and with AI it can be connected, and that can be a very powerful good, or it can be a very powerful bad. And I still think that there's some things that people haven't thought of in terms of security threats. We're always looking at the old style security threats, which are, crack a password, steal some money, etc., etc. I think there are going to be whole new ways of exploiting data on the internet that no one's thought about, and it will even take identity theft to a new level. Is my guess. But they won't be for the gains that we've seen traditionally. Obviously, they'll link to those, but they won't be directly targeted at that. They'll be targeted at creating environments such as fake media, which influences social action, I think, for benefit.